Hey, grace and peace, everyone. This is Charles here with your Midweek Recharge. And this week we're going to wrap up the series that we have been doing on the book of Job. That very strange and beautifully written piece of literature found in Scripture, in the Hebrew Scrolls. And as we conclude the conversation on Job, I want to challenge you to consider what your faith actually means to you. As in, what's the core of your faith? Job was under the impression that he was being wrongly persecuted, that he had done nothing wrong, certainly nothing that warranted the incredible tragedy that befell him. His friends, however, had a very different perspective. And one friend went so far as to basically say, Job, you've been let off easy. You are worthy of so much more punishment and a much more severe act from God that you would even dare to question God. That the whole notion of being innocent was ridiculous because no one is righteous and therefore you just have to sort of accept. And I think that's easy to say when your body's not covered in boils, you haven't lost all of your worldly possessions and your family is gone. It's easy to say sort of accept what you get and don't get upset when you're doing okay. It's a different situation when you are living in the slums of some of the poorest countries in the world, where there's a competition to eat out of the garbage. It's a very different situation to tell those individuals you get what you get and you don't get upset. And we see in Job that eternal wrestling of, why are bad things happening to good people? Why am I seemingly being punished? And in the conclusion, God shows up on the scene, and we think that we're going to get, from the author's perspective, some explanation. And instead, what we get is God going through some very peculiar cosmic details, and almost like this virtual tour of the universe, where we're left to conclude the same thing that Job ultimately concludes, which is we really don't know anything. There are events, there are things taking place in our cosmos right now as you're listening to this that we can barely measure. There are activities taking place on different distant planets and distant solar systems in other galaxies across this universe that we'll never likely perceive, that we'll never likely have an opportunity to view or experience or record or take in. And that's just the power and the impact and the majesty of God. And so my challenge to you this week is to consider, what does faith actually mean? Do you have faith because you believe ultimately it will generate some good for you? Or do you have faith because you genuinely choose to live a life that acknowledges, when it comes to the universe, I'm just a speck? And it's much better to put my faith in the creator of the universe and trust that that creative mind knows more than I do. Let that be your recharge.